Good morning and welcome to Daybreak Live, the program that helps you make sense of the issues shaping national debate and global affairs. I am Anu Luakbo Ido.
And I am Sam Sebalogo, and this morning we are tracking developments that cut across governance, diplomacy, and shifting dynamics of global power.
We begin with the legal and political development at home as the Nigerian government restrains activist Omoyele Sowore over comments in which he described the President Tinubu as a criminal. We'll also look at what this case means for freedom of expression, the limits of dissent, and the wider implications for democratic space in the country, Nigeria.
All right, I will then bring you the weather report so you can plan your day with the latest conditions across the country, just like we did yesterday, and it's raining in Ibadan.
Our newspaper headlines and analysis will be handled by Afolabi Afolomi, public affairs analyst, as we examine how today's papers are framing the political, economic, and security issues dominating the front pages.
And on our big story today, it takes us beyond Nigeria to the international stage as we examine tariffs, territory and diplomacy, what the Greenland dispute means for global politics. We'll explore how economic interest, territorial claims and strategic competition are reshaping global alignment.
That must be a very tough conversation.
Very tough.
Joining us for that conversation is Oluwakemi Ademola Aremu, human rights activist and lecturer at the University of Ibadan, who will help us unpack the broader implications for international law, diplomacy, and global stability.
All right, after that, we'll turn to Trend Watch, where we track the issues gaining traction in the public space and shaping today's conversations.
Absolutely. This is Daybreak Live. Stay with us this morning. Good morning to you, Samson.
Good morning to you, Anu. Good to have you back on this show.
It's a pleasure being here.
All right, interestingly, a lot of interesting stories to be discussed today, and definitely a fantastic one on the big story much later on the show. But then let's talk about Omoyele Sowore, who happens to be a human rights activist in Nigeria, if you know, want to put it that way, but also is a politician. He was the presidential candidate of the AAC at some point. He's arguably the convener of the Take It Back movement in Nigeria. And definitely, there's a lot between himself and the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And people are saying so much. And when you talk about situations where you want to say, oh, there's freedom of expression or freedom of speech, there are limitations. And too many people don't know that. And, you know, sometimes when the government cracks down on people who say so much about the government, then some Nigerians will think, oh, it is witch hunt, basically witch hunt. And sometimes it is not always like that. How do you call a president of a sovereign nation a criminal? I mean, that is actually criminal, if you want to put it that way.
I mean, it's derogatory to speak ill of your president in that manner. You can have conversations where you don't agree with someone's stance or position or his governance, but it doesn't really give you the effrontery to speak to the president in such a manner, to call him that word, because that goes beyond. It's not like abusing, just saying that this person is not competent, but this one is saying a criminal is a criminal word, like you mentioned too. So it's something to, I think, but let us get into the heart of the matter, especially how it unfolded at the court level. You know, so this was the amended charge, a 2-count charge that was, you know, filed against Omoyele Sowore. So I'm just going to read through very quickly. It says that you, Omoyele Sowore, about August 25, 2025, did knowingly or intentionally send a message by means of a computer system or network to with your official X, formerly Twitter, Yele Sowore, when you posted the following tweeted message. This criminal official, of course, that was when he tagged the president, actually went to Brazil to state that there is no more corruption under his regime in Nigeria. And so the amended charge goes on to say that what audacity to lie shamelessly, according to Sowore, which message you knew to be false and posted for purpose of causing a breakdown of law and order in Nigeria, and all of that. And that's according to the cyber stalking contract section of the law. The Nigerian Constitution, Section 24, subsection 1B, Section 24, subsection 2A and B and C of the Cyber Crimes Prohibition, and all of that. But I just want to say that I think I was trying to check, to do a bit of research yesterday to see what exactly the Constitution says to people who actually come out to say those kind of things, you know. But the Nigerian Constitution guarantees freedom of expression, which we also know as provided in the Constitution of the country, including the right to criticize public office holders. However, making a false claim that the president is a criminal, in quotes, could be considered a criminal or civil offense, like you mentioned, under defamation laws, particularly if it causes reputational harm and is made without evidence. Now, of course, you are guaranteed to speak according to Section 39, subsection 1 of the 1999 Constitution as amended. It guarantees every person's right to freedom of expression. You can say what you want to say. But again, I think one of the issues we've been finding in recent times is that the use of social media has made it so easy for people to now say things. The rules. Exactly. So so they feel like, maybe, I don't know if people feel what I type doesn't really count. Doesn't count as much as what I say. I don't know if there's, you know, that psychology in the head of people.
Maybe people have that misconception.
Because if you check Twitter too, you see the way people go about to fight online. Some even go ahead to say things like
threaten other people online, or even bully.
There's cyberbullying, there's threat. You see that if I meet you, I'm going to maim you. Those kind of, and you say you type it as if there's no big deal. It's just the same thing, the same gravity it takes to say it.
Because it's coming from you.
Exactly.
Regardless of what medium.
Absolutely. So I feel like if social media, if we don't have this understanding, I mean, a lot of businesses will still flout the rules again and again. But I just wanted to call to, maybe just call to the chase to say that it's okay to say whatever you want to say, but be ready to take the consequences. Omoyele Sowore made the comment, and this, I can agree if you want to criticize the government. You criticize everything you can, but don't go personal. If you go personal to cause a president, someone who's supposed to be the number one citizen of the country, in your country. Now, again, moving it from that, it has a far-reaching implication to the rest of the world. Because there's a Yoruba thing, I'm trying to look for a way to say it, that if you sell your own person at a very cheap price, you cannot buy them at an expensive price. Absolutely. So if you speak ill of your president, then no other person in the world would say your president is of credibility or anything. Now, there's been that conversation. Some are saying, okay, maybe, just maybe, if the president was, taken to court, if the clause of immunity does not stand, maybe Omoyele might be right. But even if you're right, let the court decide. You are not a court that will decide that someone is a criminal or the president is a criminal based on what you've seen. Now, the court is going to hear on Thursday, and then they will ask questions like, oh yeah, present your case. You said this, where is the evidence? How can you, like Burna Boy said, you just be talking, no evidence. So where's the evidence to show that the president is a criminal? Don't make statements like this. And I think it's also good that, the presidency, the DSS, and every other person in this suit would take this seriously. To make people who want to do the same think about it twice and not go ahead. I also want to quickly to mention that they removed X and Meta from all of the, I think before it was Omoyele Sowore, and then, X and Meta was also involved because they said that was the platform that they used to make that statement. But, they have come out to say that the X actually messaged him to take down the message when they discovered, but it did not take it down. In fact, I think he filed a countersuit against them that he has a right to speak his mind, to say whatever he wants to say, and so that was it. So that was why the DSS removed X and Meta from this conversation to say, okay, you are not
did what they should have.
Exactly. You've done your bid, so it's not a problem. This is the person we're tackling, but I'm hoping to see what becomes of this.
Well, definitely, a lot will still happen. Of course, the court case is still pending. It will be heard very soon. But what I see is that I think Nigerians really do not understand what freedom of speech and freedom of expression really means. And for someone like Omoyele Sowore, I think he should know better, because he was around during the military regime, and he knows exactly what happened back then. You could remember, if we go down history lane, you would understand that so many people faced tribulations for saying the simplest of things, and definitely you would now compare that to what is currently going on, and people think, yes, because because it is the democratic era, I can just walk about, say whatever I like, do whatever I like, and nobody dare question me about what I do, especially when I have a name or maybe I have a face. I mean, we've seen average Nigerians too who have actually, driven against traffic rules, and they feel like, you don't know me, who are you? I mean, as a rule, I mean, you are nobody before the rule of the nation, and nobody should take any other person a criminal until a court of law actually does that. So it is until he or she is pronounced a criminal that then you can actually say, oh, this person is a criminal. So Omoyele Sowore was wrong on that part. Now, going down memory lane, I think in the 1970s, during the Olusegun Obasanjo regime as a military era, Fela Anikulapo Kuti was arrested for saying things against the president. And Gani Fawehinmi to also suffer the same fate, especially under Babangida and Abacha era, when it was a multiple arrest for Gani Fawehinmi. I mean, it's there in the history books for you to know that how many times he was arrested, just because, yes, at that time, he was an activist, he was trying to fight for the people, and well, maybe by mistake or by intentionally, he said some things against the president of the day at that time, and then he got arrested so many times. And also, even Omoyele Sowore, during the Buhari regime, I think by now, you should have learned things you can say and things you cannot say. Because during the Buhari regime, he also did the same thing and was arrested. Dino Melaye hid under legislative immunity for some time because he was making, some derogatory remarks against President Buhari at that time. And then he had so many issues with him, back and forth. There was a time he was on a tree and was just there, so many things. He was in court with this neck brace. Yeah. He had so many, saga with them. And Nnamdi Kanu, for example, too, also had the same issue with Buhari at the time and also with President Tinubu now. I don't think President Tinubu or anyone close to him actually charged Nnamdi Kanu because of those remarks he made against him. But I know, for example, that I think President Muhammadu Buhari also had this same encounter with him. Dino Melaye, as I mentioned earlier, Deji Adeyanju, who is also a human rights activist, also had so many issues, especially during the Buhari era. He said so many things, a vocal activist who publicly criticized and used strong language against the president and top officials in the country. Now, how about Femi Falana? We have had so many people who have had encounters with the president of the day about what they say to them and how they said it. But the truth of the matter is, at this point, I think everyone should sit down and maybe buy yourself a copy of the Nigerian Constitution if you don't have one. And if you do have one, go through it. There are things you do not do. I mean, maybe if you put the Constitution aside as a Yoruba person, because I think Omoyele Sowore definitely is a Yoruba person. Deji Adeyanju, for example, is also from the Yoruba tribe. But then I think the Yoruba tribe gives you a kind of a break. I mean, it breaks you when you want to, veer off the road. I mean, there's this tradition that says you do not say things to elders like that. I mean, if you check the distance between Omoyele Sowore and President Tinubu, I mean, it's a long distance. I mean, in terms of age. So you have to observe a little bit of respect there. And even religion, does not permit you to disrespect people like that. Yes, you can make your claims, you can complain about what they've been doing that is not right, especially when you are fighting. I mean, you are obviously fighting for the people. Then you can make claims. But at this point, I think someone should be made a scapegoat. Until that is done, someone will also come back someday and say, oh, because Omoyele Sowore was charged to court and nothing eventually happened, I have the freedom and the liberty to say whatever I like and I can walk away and nothing will happen.
Let me speak to what you've said quite honestly now. The potential consequences, this is a matter to be decided. I think I saw it early this morning, that it's going to be on Thursday, but we are waiting for that. So if a person is found guilty of defaming the president, they could face imprisonment or fine or both. And then under the law, and although most cases are pursued through civil lawsuits or damages and all of that, but there are limitations to what we can say, like we've been saying. There's the limit to the rights that you have, the freedom of expression that you explained to, that is not absolute, right? It is subject to laws that are reasonably justified and a democratic society for purposes such as protecting the right and reputation of persons. Now, let me just say quickly, some have also said, if this is the case for Omoyele Sowore, why was this never a case for Reno Omokri? There's been that question because Reno also spoke ill
of the president.
You know, so I mean, so
even before he became president.
That's the issue. So instead of going against
he got an appointment.
He got an appointment. So how does he play out for different personalities?
You know, once you join the winning camp, your sins are forgiven. Let's go to weather report. Okay, so we'll take weather reports in Ibadan today, and definitely we'll be starting with the ancient metropolitan city of hospitality. Let's see what the weather looks like in Ibadan, and that's talking about Ibadan Southwest. Weather right now says 26 degrees Celsius right now in Ibadan, and later in the morning it will be partly cloudy at 29 degrees Celsius, and in the afternoon there will be isolated thunderstorms in some quarters at 33 degrees Celsius and at 32%, and it will be partly cloudy in the evening, 27 degrees Celsius at 12%, and overnight it will be cloudy at 25 degrees Celsius at 16% right here in Ibadan today.
I would say let's jet away from Ibadan to Lagos State, Nigeria, to see what the weather would be like in Lagos State. And the weather is feeling like 33 degrees Celsius across board today in Lagos. Then it drops to 29 degrees Celsius later in the morning with the promise of thunderstorms. Already get ready in Lagos today for thunderstorms. Also, scattered thunderstorms continues in the afternoon part of the day at 30 degrees Celsius. Then it drops to 28 degrees Celsius by 2 degrees Celsius in the evening, and it's expected to be partly cloudy, then drops much further overnight at 27 degrees Celsius. Then the weather becomes mostly cloudy in Lagos State today.
All right, moving on to Akure South in Ondo State. As we speak, weather currently feels like 24 degrees Celsius in Ondo, and later in the morning it will rise to 29 degrees Celsius while being partly cloudy. Just like Lagos, there will be scattered thunderstorms in the afternoon at 31 degrees Celsius. 39% chance, and in the evening it will be partly cloudy at 25 degrees Celsius, and overnight it will be cloudy at 24 degrees Celsius in Ondo today.
And take me from Ondo from Akure to Rivers. Let's have what the weather is saying in Rivers State today, this morning, to see what exactly the people that are going to be around Rivers can do, or particularly if we don't have Rivers, we might as well move to maybe Abuja, and let's see what the Federal Capital Territory would have us plan today. The weather feels like 23 degrees Celsius across board in the Federal Capital Territory, and later it rises by 7 degrees Celsius to be sunny at 30 degrees Celsius. Then it rises much further to 35 degrees Celsius in the afternoon, and the weather is expected to be partly cloudy. Then it remains partly cloudy, although it's dropping by about 6 degrees Celsius to 29 degrees Celsius in the evening, and later overnight it drops by 4 degrees Celsius also to 25 degrees Celsius, and the weather will be expected to be clear today.
All right, they're still in the south, and that will be in the southeast this morning, and that is Enugu, in Enugu North, Enugu State, and weather currently feels like 26 degrees Celsius right there in Enugu. And later in the morning to rise by 4 degrees Celsius to 30 degrees Celsius while being partly cloudy right there. And in the afternoon to rise to 34 degrees Celsius, mostly cloudy. There will be showers in the evening at 27 degrees Celsius. There's 42% chance of that in Enugu today. And overnight, it will be partly cloudy at 25 degrees Celsius right there.
Let's go to the largest states in the country. That's the Niger State, Suleja. What the weather feels like today in Suleja. The weather feels like 23 degrees Celsius across board today. Then later in the morning, it rises to 30 degrees Celsius, expected to be very sunny in Suleja, Niger State today. And afternoon, it rises by 6 degrees Celsius up to 36 degrees Celsius, and the weather will be partly cloudy. And then it drops in the evening to 29 degrees Celsius, expected to be partly cloudy. Then 5 degrees Celsius drop overnight to 24 degrees Celsius. The weather becomes then clear in Suleja, Niger State.
All right, before Anu moves to Kano, let me take this one very quickly from the north central, and that is Plateau State, the Yakubu Gowon's airport. And this morning it currently feels like 18 degrees Celsius right there. Later in the morning it will rise to 27 degrees Celsius while being sunny, and there will be a sharp rise to 31 degrees Celsius, mostly cloudy right there in the afternoon, and later in the evening to drop to 23 degrees Celsius right there in Plateau State today.
Let me take you to Kano like I've been instructed. And in Kano today, far north, the weather feels like 17 degrees Celsius, just a slight difference from what we had in the previous state that we went to now. In Kano, the weather remains 29 degrees Celsius in the morning. Of course, expected to be sunny. Then it rises much further to 35 degrees Celsius, expected to be sunny as well in the afternoon. Then it drops about 9 degrees Celsius or so in the evening and is expected to be clear at 26 degrees Celsius. Then overnight it drops much further by 5 degrees Celsius to 21 degrees Celsius overnight, and the weather will remain clear in Kano today.
All right, let me take this one from Sokoto quite close before you travel to Borno this morning. And right now in Sokoto, weather currently feels like 21 degrees Celsius right there. Later in the morning, it will rise to 27 degrees Celsius sunny. It will be mostly sunny in the afternoon at 34 degrees Celsius, while it will be mostly clear at 25 degrees Celsius right there in Sokoto. And overnight, it will be 21 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy right there in Sokoto today.
Yes, from Sokoto now
to Borno State.
Borno State is where we are in Maiduguri, and the weather feels like 17 degrees Celsius across board. Then it rises in the morning to 31 degrees Celsius, expected to be mostly sunny. And afternoon, it rises by 6 degrees Celsius to 37 degrees Celsius, expected to be partly cloudy. And then it drops in the evening to 24 degrees Celsius. The weather then becomes clear, and it gets more clear at 19 degrees Celsius overnight in Maiduguri, Borno State today.
All right, so that will be all we can take on weather reports this morning. Do well to link up with us on all socials, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok at Dominion Broadcast, and on X, formerly Twitter, at Dominion Cast. You can watch us live on our website at www.dominion.org.ng, dominion.org.ng. You can also watch us live on our YouTube and Facebook channels at Dominion Broadcast. Do well to leave a comment. We'll take them on this show. Like, share, and of course leave a remark. Let's go on a quick break, and when we return, it is time to take the news. We'll be back.
Live from the heart of the action. Welcome to the nerve center of Next Level Broadcasting.
This is the OB van, where the studio meets the street.
Equipped with cutting-edge cameras, crystal clear audio, real-time switching, and broadcast control, we don't just capture moments, we deliver the experience live.
Anywhere, anytime, from stadiums to red carpets, breaking news to buzzing festivals, weddings, birthdays, and all sorts of ceremonies. We bring the world to your screen in real time.
It's not just a van, it's a complete mobile production house, a command center, a broadcast beast.
This is more than a broadcast. This is the OB van difference. Live, loud, limitless.
Ready to go live? Like never before. Book the OB van today and take your event to the world. One powerful broadcast at a time.
To book, call 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Email marketing@dominion.org.
Dominion Broadcast, your channel of choice.
Hello and welcome. This is Daybreak News on Dominion Television. My name is Anu Oluwapo Ido. We start with the corruption case where the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission (ICPC) has filed a 3-count criminal charge against senior lawyer Michael Zekome, a senior advocate of Nigeria, over alleged fraud involving a property in London. The charge at the Abuja High Court accused Zekome of complicity in a large-scale corruption case linked to a house located at 79 Randall Avenue in London. The ICPC alleged that Zekome received the property in August 2021 and later used a forged Nigerian passport bearing the name Shanitali to support claims of ownership. The offences, according to the Commission, violate provisions of the Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Act and the Penal Code of the Federal Capital Territory. The Anti-Corruption Agency has listed several exhibits and witnesses, including ICPC investigators and a representative of the Nigerian Immigration Service, to support its case. The matter is yet to be assigned to a judge at the Abuja High Court. Meanwhile, operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency (NDLEA) have arrested a long-wanted drug kingpin, Lekon Jimo, popularly known as Kamo Kamo, 12 years after his alleged involvement in the killing of 3 NDLEA officers. He was arrested on Friday, January 16, 2026 in Owode Town, Ogun State, following the intelligence-led operations by the agency's tactical teams. The NDLEA said a search of Jimo's hideout led to the recovery of 69 kilograms of skunk, a strain of cannabis, and in a statement, the agency spokesperson Femi Babafemi said the suspect had been on its wanted list since June 15, 2014 after allegedly mobilizing armed thugs to attack NDLEA officers who attempted to ensure that fugitives do not escape justice regardless of how long they remain at large. The People's Democratic Party has denied reports claiming it asks its members to contribute 10,000 naira each to fund party activities, describing the allegation as false and misleading. In a statement issued by its National Publicity Secretary, Comrade Ini Ememawong, the PDP explained that comments made during a media interview were wrongly sensationalized. According to the party, the remarks were in response to a question on funding following recent defections and were meant to restate its long-standing belief in voluntary, grassroots-based funding. The PDP stressed that the mention of 10,000 naira was only an illustration of how collective voluntary contributions could strengthen the party, not a compulsory levy. It urged members and the public to disregard misleading information and report and continue to support the party voluntarily. And moving on, the Olugbo of Orile Igbo, Oba Francis Alao, has assured Oyo State Governor, Engineer Seyi Makinde, that members of the State Council of Obas and Chiefs will give full support to the new chairman, Oba Rashidi Ladoja. The assurance was given during the governor's visit to the Monarch's Palace in Orile Igbo, Surulere local government area. Oba Alao thanked Governor Makinde for the visit and pledged that traditional rulers across the state's 5 zones, Ibadan, Oyo, Ogbomoso, Okeogun, and Ibarakwa, are united in backing Oba Ladoja's leadership of the council. Governor Makinde had inaugurated the Oyo State Council of Obas and Chiefs after 15 years, with the Olubado of Ibadan, Oba Rashidi Ladoja, emerging as its first chairman. And out of business, the Nigerian Port Authority (NPA) reports that 20 ships are currently discharging petroleum products and other commodities at the Apapa, Lekki, and Tin Can Island ports in Lagos. The authority disclosed this in its latest shipping position release, and according to the NPA, the vessels are carrying items such as petrol, diesel, crude oil, aviation fuel, containers, bulk gas, buckwheat, fresh fish, urea, salt, and general cargo. The authority also said 9 ships have arrived and are waiting berthing with similar cargoes. Meanwhile, the NPA noted that 35 additional ships laden with petroleum products, food items, and other goods are expected to arrive at Lagos ports between now and January 25th. And finally, in sports, Enyimba has announced the appointment of Ayodeji Ayeni as their new technical advisor. Ayeni joins the Aba-based club from Nigeria National League side, Crown FC. He replaces veteran coach Stanley Eguma, who was relieved of his duties in November. Enyimba confirmed the appointment in a statement stating that the touchline has a new leader. Ayeni will be tasked with reviving the fortunes of the Aba Giants as they push for improved performances. And that's about it. You can visit our website on www.dominion.org.ng to watch us live and interact with us. You can also follow us across our social media platforms on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and LinkedIn at Dominion Broadcast, and X at Dominion Cast. And as Daybreak News, I am Anu Oluwapo Ido. Thank you for watching.
Need a professional space to bring your vision to life? Dominion Television Studios offers state-of-the-art facilities perfect for your next broadcast, commercial, corporate video, or live event. With flexible rental options, cutting-edge equipment, and a supportive team, we provide the perfect environment for high-quality productions. Unleash your creativity. For bookings, email us at marketing@dominion.org.ng. Call us on 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and TikTok at Dominion Broadcast and on X at Dominion Cast. Book your space today. Dominion Television, your channel of choice.
Katsina is about to release about 70 bandits, and there's been uproar, innuendos, and conversations behind the scenes about what exactly is the case about the amnesty due. Does it make sense? Does it not make sense? All of these things are on the Punch newspaper. We check the stories. Welcome to this segment of the newspaper headlines and analysis, where we check into the print newspaper for one, Nigerian Tribune, Guardian newspaper, and as many papers we can lay our fingers on this morning to talk about the stories that are breaking and making the rounds. First, the high points. But on the Punch newspaper this morning, where I start from, the front page reads, outrage mounts as Katsina moves to release 70 bandits. I mean, so that's exactly the conversation. Emphasis on bandits. Now, Tinubu told to stop release of bandits on trial. ACF, Afenifere, others slam Katsina's government over amnesty deal. How do you release bandits? Maybe that's a question to the Katsina state government this morning. And of course, if you check that, it says there is outrage over Katsina's release or planned release of 70 bandits. Where are you leading them to? Maybe questions surrounding this, you know, they say, where do you want them to go from there? Do they have jobs? Are they gainfully employed? What is the assurance they will not get back to their vomit? I mean, sometimes it's a sorry case, but yes, questions must be asked. We need to ask the right questions, especially to government. Why would you release 70 bandits? Not to belabor the issue, but especially, let's move on from that story. Federal government votes 10 million naira for Abuja runway after scrapping 532 billion naira due. That's also the story right there on the Punch newspaper, and that's talking about, I think, the railway, which is of a development, if you ask me, in the country. But then let's see what becomes of this, especially if they are scrapping the 532 billion naira due, and they are voting 10 million naira Abuja runway due for that. I mean, what could be the comparison? How can we put that, you know, juxtaposing to see which one has more pros, which one has more cons, which one is beneficial to the state, and all of that. Yeah, the conversation will be right on, but let's move on from that story. Kano governor meets Tinubu amid defection talks. That's the story. I think, according to some parties, Abba Kabir Yusuf is the last straw that would, break the camel's back. Just local government areas in the country, Nigeria, I think about 44. The closest to that, I think, is Katsina with 34. So it's about 10 local governments different from Katsina. So Kano is important, and not just that, Kano is the commercial hub of the northern region. So if you want to consider that and pull together that Kano has a very high population, you might want to say the president is strategic in getting Abba Kabir Yusuf, the governor of Kano State, to his party. And some have been asking or saying that if that comes to be, then it's a plus for the APC. They might not need to do so much again because they have over about 23 governors already in the APC, and now adding Abba Kabir Yusuf of Kano State is a big plus for the party come 2027 elections. Maybe the games are being played perfectly well, but we'll keep fingers crossed and see what becomes of that defection talks. Is Abba Kabir Yusuf going to go to the APC, the ADC, or the PDP? Let's see what becomes of all of this as we speak, because he's currently in the Labour Party as we speak. We'll get more stories from that in the meantime. Military discovers Boko Haram on the ground storage recently, and just to give kudos to them, but don't just discover these places. I mean, get to the heart of the issue, get to the the nitty-gritty of that situation, get into the heart of it. Get the people that should be gotten, take them to court, and let's have justice speak for the people who have been killed by these people in the country. Now, the jobs scam syndicate luring Nigerians into Ukraine and Russia war. This is also one of the features on the Punch newspaper this morning, and I'll come down to the down part of the Punch newspaper as you have on your screen this morning. DSS arrests Malami after release from Kuje prison. That is the story. It's also developing. Yesterday there was a case of arrest. Now there's a case of rearrest and all of that. But we see and keep tabs on this story and many other stories. Now, Ekiti poll is also on the front page of the Punch newspaper. And what do we have on the front page? It says PDP, SDP reject exclusion from INEC final list. Some have also, in a long time, or maybe recently, some have been asking questions, especially the INEC body, to say, why should the INEC be involved in the conduct or the administration of parties? And maybe this is also one of it. PDP and SDP reject exclusion from INEC final list. That is also something to talk about. I will see if there is time. We'll check into what this means for the Nigerian state. Now, banks record high rising loan default amid strong demand. Also, that's a report coming from the Central Bank of Nigeria saying banks record rising loan defaults amid strong demand. That is the Punch newspaper for you right there. I'll switch focus away from the Punch newspaper to see what the Nigerian Tribune is having as its front page, frontline head point story this morning. And talking about that, DSS arrest Malami after release from Kuje prison is the big caption on the Nigerian Tribune newspaper this morning. It's on page 4 of the newspaper. DSS arrest Malami after release from Kuje prison is on the spotlight. Now, IMF raises Nigeria's 2026 growth forecast to 4.4%. That's International Monetary Fund raising Nigeria's 2026 growth forecast to 4.4%. Also in the world of business, or should we say economy of things in the country, Nigeria now. No one was kidnapped in Kaduna, police, local government chairman say. So there was I don't know if you are in the know, but let me get you abreast of that. There was a report yesterday that there was an attack by bandits in Kaduna where they actually, carted away over 100 people. And now there seems to be like people asking questions. Some have tried to verify if that was true, but there was nothing like that. But there were platforms who took the story to say, yes, this happened, only to discover this morning that the police and local government chairman are saying, no, there was no kidnap in Kaduna. I mean, that's a good one anyway. But if there was no, maybe, like they say that in every lie, there's always an iota of truth. So if there's a claim or there is an attempt, we should probably just beef up security in those regions to ensure that this would not eventually happen. But yes, the story of Abba Kabir Yusuf is still making the rounds on Nigerian Tribune newspaper. Amid defection moves, Kano governor visits Tinubu in Aso Villa. Tabs eyes on this story and many others. Now, alleged cyberbullying, police file 6-count charge against Tom Onojobi, remands doctor for insulting alleged fake report for her. That is also another story, right? They're talking, cyberbullying and all of that. But yes, we'll keep tabs on this as well. Ekitipo, PDP SDP missing. INEC clears APC, 11 others in final candidate list. That is also the one that is there. That's also how much. That's about it on the Nigerian Tribune newspaper, because federal government also denies seating gold refinery in Lagos. We'll also keep tabs on this as well. But we have to move from the Nigerian Tribune newspaper to the Guardian newspaper. The Guardian has some stories of interest and talking business. The first caption on the Guardian newspaper is about 50% telcos tariff hike leaves operators happier and consumers frustrated. On the Guardian newspaper, that is what we have right on the Guardian newspaper this morning. It's 1 year after 50% telco tariff hike leaves operators happier and consumers frustrated. That is a read if you would like. And of course, moving on from that, federal government and contractors on warpath over 4 trillion naira debt. Federal government and contractors on warpath over 4 trillion naira. I thought they cleared some debt recently. Anyway, FCTA kicks as workers begin indefinite strike. This story is also important to check, especially as it's happening in the Federal Capital Territory in Abuja. FCTA kicks as workers begin indefinite strike. That is the story. And of course, if you check the front page, you see the page or the face of the, we can't say governor, but is the minister, Minister Yesom Wike, representing Abuja. Perhaps people ask that, oh yes, this is time for you to also move in the direction of the work that you have been appointed to do, and not just do political, I don't want to call them interference in Rivers State. But yes, that's about that also. And moving on from that, Kano killings, Tinubu orders probe as states takes over prosecution. That is about Kano killings. President Tinubu has said no to this. He decried that particular activity to say, no, we're not having this. There needs to be a change. But we hope this is more than a talk. We hope he's going to walk the talk. I mean, the persons, the departments are supposed to take these words and work on it should do justice to that as well. Now, still talking Sowore, court strikes out Meta X as federal government rearranged Sowore on amended cyber bullying charges. That is also there. Sowore, we spoke about it just now, made derogatory comments about the president, calling the president something that is not so pleasing to the ears. And of course, this begs the question of how it reflects on the outside world, the outside community. It has a far-reaching implication considering the person of Sowore is caliber. So if you say something that's derogatory to your president, then any other person might want to just follow suit and say the same. So that's the conversation. And of course, in that particular story, they have removed X and Meta from the conversation to say, oh, you guys were not complicit to this, because of course, according to the report, Meta or X told Sowore to bring down that comment, but he did not. But that was, remember, that was when he was referring to when the president went to Brazil and then said there's no more corruption or so. So Sowore was enraged, he was furious, he was exasperated, and he came out to say, you know what, how can the president go to Brazil and say that? It's begging a lot of questions also about the rights of people to expression, right to speech, right to expression, freedom of expression, and all of that. So maybe activists and human rights activists will stand up for Sowore to say the same. But the conversation gets bigger if you have to consider the bigger conversation of what about Reno Mockery? What about some persons in the past who have said one thing, ill things about the presidency? Why were they not taken to court? Why was it that one of them even got an appointment? But anyway, that is not a bone of contention right now. But we move on from that story. See, Sanwo-Olu signs 2026 4.4 trillion naira budget into law. That is quite a big one if you consider what that is for the economy. 4.4 trillion naira. I think Oyo State budget was about 900 and something million, no, billion, yes, but this is trillion now. 4.4 trillion in Lagos State and Ibadan, that is just a few kilometers away, had presented the budget. But we understand how that Lagos is the economic hub of the country, the commercial center of the country, having to do with, you know, the ports is there, and then some other things as well. We'll get into all of those conversations and analysis proper in the meantime, but that will be shortly after this break. Join us again, and then we'll have the
Live from the heart of the action. Welcome to the nerve center of Next Level Broadcasting.
This is the OB van, where the studio meets the street.
Equipped with cutting-edge cameras, crystal clear audio, real-time switching, and broadcast control, we don't just capture moments, we deliver the experience live.
Anywhere, anytime, from stadiums to red carpets, breaking news to buzzing festivals, weddings, birthdays, and all sorts of ceremonies. We bring the world to your screen in real time.
It's not just a van, it's a complete mobile production house, a command center, a broadcast beast.
This is more than a broadcast. This is the OB van difference. Live, loud, limitless.
Thank you for staying tonight. Let's get into the heart of the issue to talk about some of the stories that are making the rounds. We spotlight them, but I won't do this alone. I have with me in the house Afolabi joined us, a public affairs analyst this morning, live in the studio. Good morning to you.
Good morning, my friend. How are you?
Very well this morning. Now let's start with the big conversation of Omoyele Sowore, because I know that is on the lips of everybody. An average Nigerian wants to know. Of course, the matter will still be decided in courts, maybe Thursday, according to the release this morning. But the conversation has been, how do you say such derogatory comments to your president? Some are saying that, well, he has a right to say whatever he wants to say. He has a right to a freedom of expression, freedom of speech, freedom to say whatever he wants to say. And others have also said, I mean, you are responsible for whatever you say, even the consequences as well. So you know, once you make a statement, especially about the first citizen of the country, then it tells a larger story. It has a far-reaching implication than the community you've said it. It goes everywhere, because you don't want to sell your own person cheap and expect people to buy him at an expensive rate. So let me get your comprehensive thought on this.
Well, my own personal opinion is that people have forgotten that we are in a democratic setting and not in a military era, where anybody that said anything will be picked on the streets and be dealt with. And it's a pity that many of the people that are talking right now were not of the generation that witnessed so many things that happened during the early democratic setting that we convert in from the military to the democracy. Late Chief Gani Fayemi was a very firm man that say anything that he knows is wrong about anybody and is ready to stand by his words. I don't know why people are talking about Omoyele Sowore, bringing him down because he has said something about the president. And please, if we really want to play this game, democracy, we should know that it has a very vital areas where I talk about people's opinion, freedom of speech. And that was why many radio stations and TV stations are now springing up. Remember, in those days, we only have few of them. That is being controlled by the government. And whatever they want to say has already been checked by the government before it is going on air. And to me, I've not seen anything wrong. If Omar Eshowe is not talking, then who should be talking?
But I mean, it's not just what you say; it's how you say it. And for his caliber, he was also a presidential candidate, so his voice has a far-reaching implication.
That is why it makes it more meaningful that he's saying what he's saying, because he knows better now. He's not just an activist. He has been a candidate of a political party. He has come on board to say, I want to vie for the presidency. He has moved around the state, the country. He has seen what so many of us are here have not been able to see. He has gotten some information that some of us here have not gotten. He knows better. You know, the last time he was talking about the PPRO of the Nigerian police, he was saying it fervently and he was saying it bluntly to his face. He doesn't care. He doesn't mind his words. He's not a type, you know. And let me tell you that Omar Eshowe is not just a newborn activist. He has been the former president of the student government of the University of Lagos. He has been with the late MK Abiola. He was at the back of he knows everything. So if I'm even asking that we have more of them, they can bring out their opinion, they can bring things out, they can shake the table, you know, they can make our leadership status to stand firm. They can make them to see their opinion in another angle. Yes, he may not have said it right. His motive may not be very fine. His way of saying it may not communicate directly how we expected it, but he has communicated. He has been able to express his opinion. He has been able to put it down that pump. What you guys are doing is just too bad.
But where do you draw the lines and the boundaries for speaking to a president? How do we get to the point of not doing the extreme by calling names or criminal kind of way to express the president as in the public sight of people? How do we draw the lines?
Let the president come out and prove himself.
If he's not what he called him.
Yes. United States, before now, even right now, have a way of pointing to their fingers, accusing fingers to their president. And the only way you can sell yourself out to say, no, you're not doing it, is to be accountable. Is to prove yourself right. Leaders must be accountable. These are presidents that we all voted for. The majority of Nigerians said, you are right, we want you there. And they should be the kind of people that we want to give us what we expect. My opinion is that the president should come out and prove himself wrong.
Okay, so let's do politics very quickly for want of time. Kano State Governor met the president yesterday. Some have been expecting this for a long time to say, APC, there's just one last card you need to play. It's a chess game, right? You need to put the last move that would kill it for you. Do you think this is the right move that will kill all of the other opposition parties?
Well, I'm not surprised what is happening right now, because I know Bola Tinubu, when he was the governor of Lagos State. Remember, this man is such a man that whatever he wants to do, he knows how to play his card. He took over the ACN and spread it around the Southwest. And when it comes to an APC stuff, he knows how he buys his way in. And so he wants. You know what Kwankwaso said? I was on this platform and I was talking about, somebody was my analyst was, my anchor person was asking me, if Kwankwaso need to move to APC, what will be his chances? And I tell you, the life of Kwankwaso only have one ticket, one card to play, is that I give you this, you give me this. And that is what they are looking for. You know, just like we having it now, you know, we need a third force that can check balance. But right now, we're not getting it. It's even those who are finding themselves in the APC, many of them are not interested, but they don't have choice. They just have to come in so that they can just, you know, they will not be left over. Because our politics has been that if you're not in the party, you lose out outrightly. Nobody see you. We saw what happened in Oyo State. We saw how it plays here in Oyo State when an aspirant from another party was given a chance from the present party, and by the time you want to identify with his party, they sent him out. They show him you are not part of us, and that game is the ball play. And I've been an advocate of the third force. Put up the heat. They will let the ruling party to know that they are not just the only party that everybody is supporting. I love what happened last week Saturday. I just love it. It may not be the choice of the people at the end, but he has changed the ball game. He has checked the table. He has let people to know that there is another force somewhere. So we do not just sit down and fold our hands and somebody will say, who will do it for us? Somebody must just come on board. And that is the problem we all have in Nigeria. You know, everybody wants to open the door, but somebody is looking for who will open the door for us. Who will bear the cat? Who will lead us? You also can lead. Everybody can lead. As long as you are alive, it's just the will, power. It's divided into the will and power. If you have the will, there's capacity, the strategy. Anybody, if you become the governor, you're not going to be the commissioner for information, commissioner for works, commissioner for trade and investment, commissioner for women affairs, commissioner for local government. You're just the governor. That you need capable hands to work with you. So if you are the person that is coming out and saying, I want to buy for the governor of the state, doesn't mean that you are going to be the one that will take all the affairs. You still need people at the local government, the ward councils. You still need people at the ends of affairs, down the low. So I want to beg that we change our orientation about, and that is where our fear lies, that makes everybody to feel that, okay, the only party we can just do right now is the party that we all see that is ruling. And everybody will just enter into the bus. Even though they are not happy about the bus that is taking, the driver that is driving the bus. Everybody just enter and say, well, we only pray. You know, this kind of our religional attitude, we only pray that we land safely, even though we know that the tire is not fine, and the driver is a smoker, and the drunk guy, and these are the problems. So I'm enjoying it.
All right. So, I mean, I was going to ask you a question, but you've already expressed your thought over it. I was going to ask what the fate of opposition parties is if everybody's moving towards a party, a one-party state. But yes, let's not belabor that issue. Now, DSS is also in the news again another time, saying DSS arrests Malami after release from Kuje prison. You followed Malami's story, and then let me get your thought on this.
Karma is something everybody should watch out for. The law of karma is very important. It plays out not only when you become a politician or you become it plays out even in the family. You just have to watch what you're doing right now, and that is why I always tell some people that no matter how long you want to stay in government, one day you will leave that place. 8 years we all be under Buhari, say Baba, and we saw how far Buhari have taken us. 50 years backward. Another person is ruling us now. 8 years, if God be, and God willing, Tinubu take the next stage for the next 4 years. One day he will drop the power. And all those people we are looking at now that felt that they have the power, they are untouchable, they cannot be talked to. Talking to them is becoming they're looking at themselves like the small god, the next to the rank of the. So when Malami was also dealing with some people in that capacity, he has forgotten that a time will come when he will not be in the power again. You know what? He has been released in Kuje and refused to leave the place because he knew that the DSS are waiting outside the door, waiting for him to pick him up again, because that was how he played his own game too. So Malami's case and story should be sending out to all people who felt power is just untakeable. You cannot take power away from them. You know, Malami never dreamt that you will be in prison 31st to 1st within the entire family. I have said it on this platform. Malami's son is one of the richest in the state. He has everything anybody of his age has never gotten in a neat way. If you have been in the entertainment industry, musical, films and stuff, you know, you have said that maybe started very well from the cradle when his father was a farmer, was an artist and film industry, and he picked it up from there. And no, not like that. We knew who Malami was before now, and unfortunately, and suddenly he became the Attorney General of the country, and everything changed. And he owns the states, and was pushing the money here, pushing money there, all the name of. I don't know.
So Kama has come back.
My brother. Okay. They should enjoy it.
Let's bring it home now. Let's come to Southwest. The story of INEC, PDP, SDP is making the rounds, especially in Ekiti-Po. PDP, SDP, they are missing on INEC's register to say INEC has cleared APC and some other ones in the final candidate list. But let's talk about INEC. A lot of persons have been asking questions that INEC should be independent, like the name implies, to say Independent National Electoral Commission. Be as independent, yes, they have their rights and responsibilities to parties, right? But not in the administration of the party. Some have said, because others have also alleged, if you remember what happened with the National Convention of the PDP faction that came in Ibadan, some said, oh yes, INEC was invited, they did not come. Why did they not come? The INEC officials will say it was because of the turmoil in the party. If you have a come, then we can come. We can't come to a place that is in disarray and all of that. That's exactly the case. So some are asking the question. So the case of PDP and SDP saying that we don't have our names on your list. Why? That begs the question.
Well, that shows the kind of politics we play in Nigeria. That tells you exactly how we play our politics. You know, the politics in Nigeria is such that some people, when they get arms of affair, they want to kill all other parties and will not let them rise above their shoulder. And that was why we see, it will be very good for anybody in PDP right now to leave that party into another party. Because what we talk about Independent National Electoral Commission, who appointed the chairman? It's the president. The man did not go through the judiciary. It's not the judiciary that, okay, submit a name, and then we'll go through screening, we'll check his background, we'll check his record. Remember, this man is not very clean. This Anek man was not very clean.
Amupiton.
Have you checked his background? Some people have some cases against him.
I mean, everybody can have cases. Do you think Amupiton, your own opinion, is not clean?
Well, maybe that story will be coming up for another day. But I want to tell you that the president should not have the right to appoint such a kind of person. If he is also in the party, he is the leader of his party. Are you getting it? He is the controller of his party. And now we're talking about a man that will spearhead the election of the entire political party to produce a particular candidate for us. So I really do not support what INEC is playing at the moment. In short, they help the was stronger. I can't imagine Wike coming up to dictate for PDP. A man that is already we call them PDAPC. That is just it. So that was why you see Adeleke in accord. And I tell you, if Adeleke plays games very well, which I know he's playing, he win the party, the governorship election again. And that was why the people in PDP or your state should start looking elsewhere before the closing of the day.
Okay, so let me take you up on one thing that you said very quickly before we go. You've mentioned Adeleke, you've mentioned a number of presidents, and then you mentioned the fact that if anybody is serious, they should leave the PDP. But my question very quickly in 1 minute is, who bells the cat? Who then bells the cat for the PDP? If everybody leaves the PDP, how do you play the opposition game?
That is why I told you that I love that the thought forces that we are playing about. One of the motive and the ambition of this present party that is ruling us right now is to kill entirely the PDP, and that's what they are enjoying. We hear what the testimony coming up from Shey Makinde and that of Wike when he was giving us the word press briefing that Wike is there to kill the PDP. It's not me that says so, and Wike is still is a minister under APC and under the government of APC, but he's a PDP member. A PDP member, and you know, after that press conference, he rolled out names of caretaker committee in Oyo State and in other states. And you can see what happened in his own state. The governor was forced to change his party from PDP to APC. So it's a clear case. They know how best to play this game. It's a chess game.
We'll keep fingers crossed. Thank you very much for joining us, public affairs analyst Folami this morning.
Thank you very much.
And I will switch focus now to major conversations, especially beyond the shores of Nigeria. We'll have this conversation on the big story, but that will be shortly after this break. Just stay with us.
Need a professional space to bring your vision to life? Dominion Television Studios offers state-of-the-art facilities perfect for your next broadcast, commercial, corporate video, or live event. With flexible rental options, cutting-edge equipment, and a supportive team, we provide the perfect environment for high-quality productions. Unleash your creativity. For bookings, email us at marketing@dominion.org.ng. Call us on 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and TikTok at Dominion Broadcast and on X at Dominioncast. Book your space today. Dominion Television, your channel of choice.
Good morning and welcome to The Big Story. This is that segment of the show where we go beyond the headlines to uncover the forces shaping Nigeria and the world at large. I'm your host, Samson Balogun, and today we turn the attention to a corner of the globe that has suddenly become a focal point of international power politics, the icy expanse of Greenland. At first glance, it may seem like a remote land of glaciers and quiet settlement, far removed from the tensions of global diplomacy. But beneath the snow and silence lies a strategic price tied to military positioning, trade routes, natural resources, and the balance of power among world leaders. So, when we talk about the topic, tariffs, territory, and diplomacy, what the Greenland dispute means for global politics, stay with us as we explore why this vast Arctic territory is capturing the attention of major world powers and what it could mean for the future of international relations. Samson Balogun is my name, and thank you for joining us on the show this morning. Now, very quickly, the renewed global focus on Greenland did not emerge in a vacuum. It was propelled into the spotlight by a bold and controversial statement from former, of course, the United States President, Donald Trump, who publicly expressed interest in the United States acquiring Greenland, describing the idea as a strategic necessity for national and global security. Trump's remarks, widely reported across international media, reframed Greenland not just as an autonomous territory under the Kingdom of Denmark, but as a geopolitical asset in a rapidly changing world. He pointed to it as its location in the Arctic, its proximity to major global shipping routes, and its potential wealth in rare earth minerals and energy resources as reasons why major powers could no longer afford to ignore it. The reaction from Europe was swift and firm. The UK Prime Minister, aligning with Denmark and broader European partners, reaffirming the principle of territorial sovereignty, stressing that Greenland's future must be determined by its people and within the framework of international law. The British leader underscored that in a rules-based global order, nations cannot treat territories as commodities to be bought or bargained over. These contrasting positions, one rooted in strategic expansion and economic leverage, the other in diplomacy and legal norms, reveal a deeper struggle playing out on the world stage. At the heart of the Greenland debate is not just ownership, but influence. Who controls access to the Arctic? Who benefits from emerging trade routes as ice melts? And who sets the terms for resources extraction in one of the planet's last frontiers? This moment also raises broader questions about how global powers use tariffs, alliances, and diplomatic pressures as tools to negotiate. Is Greenland discussion a one-off controversy or a sign of a new era where strategic territories become central bargaining chips in international relations? Joining us on this show this morning is Oluwakemi Ademola Aremo, Comrade Katie, a public affairs analyst, a good governance advocate, and a lecturer at the University of Ibadan. Good morning to you, Comrade Katie.
Thank you. You've added an extra to that description. Good morning. It's so good to be here this morning. I feel so great. We're really on the brink of new history. You know, the other time we had to talk about Venezuela, I said, the people that wrote the books are rewriting the books. Those that came up with the theories you're living with, you know, the Socratic system.
They're changing the music.
They're changing the music, and you better be ready to dance. And that is why, you know, I love the fact that things are imagined. So the whole world is seeing the truth. Being in NATO does not mean, you know, that alliance to be in NATO does not mean protection. And you have to understand, when the brass tacks are down, it is really the citizens, it's the nationals. And if you think of how the Roman Empire was broken into those 10 European states, you begin to understand the history, that things are reverting themselves, okay? So all over the world, time immemorial, human beings have formed alliances, people have negotiated spaces, and every decision is for the advantage of the nation that is stronger, that needs more to take care of a lot of things. Yeah.
So when a nation that has a prime minister becomes a commodity being negotiated over, we are going to buy you over. Oh, you cannot buy us over. And then it becomes an issue of force. Is the United States preying on smaller nations? I will ask you this question again. Is the United States preying on smaller nations, or they are cannibalizing them?
No. What is really, look, if America at the point, let's say 10 years ago, had come to Greenland and say, we want you to be part of us, would they have refused? The dream of many citizens of different nations is to go to America. In fact, people have begged America to take over their system because they saw it as a superior system. The only big alliance then, or opposition, was USSR. Okay, there was a time when the whole world was left or right. Okay, so now that is now playing out.
The USSR was broken down.
Yes, over time. That is what I'm saying. Before then, okay, there were ideologies. In fact, what led to the destruction of that communist system was the fact that there was another system that was competing with the philosophies that formed that nation. So when you have ideologies, they govern the world, how people think. So when you are just a floundering persona, like we have in Nigeria, I have to say that, look, I'm telling you, if Nigeria was very close to where America could take over, what do you think Nigerians would say? When I'd heard adults over time asking, maybe we're not yet ripe for independence. So who takes over is not taking over because they like the citizenry. They are thinking of the frontiers, the access to the Arctic, an unexplored place. And we know everywhere on earth, under the earth, there are mineral deposits, there are wealth undiscovered. So the more virginal that place is, the better the advantage you would have if you have access to rare metals, rare elements under the earth. It's all about the chemistry. Yes, because the advantage is if you're able to produce better at a cheaper rate, you had the strength to take over. So it is all about survival of the citizens of that state. It is people trying to build a name for themselves. So it will never stop. So it's not cannibalizing. No. It is, you know, even when we're talking about negotiation at times, it's just somebody telling you, you know, if I come over to help you with certain things, I will give certain things. Like our own government is so busy with taking loans. Even if they didn't want the loans, they were forced to take the loans, you can still borrow more. That's what they tell us. But what is happening is that there's a takeover. Why? Because of the resources in the soil. So that is what it is. Even Nigerians, can you imagine what's happening to our food now? Everything is going outside. Everything is going outside.
Being exported. Why food is expensive in Nigeria?
Because the people were not properly educated. Look, education is the key to knowledge. Knowledge is power. When you understand that people is a power, okay? Human beings are a resource. A citizen was very important. A nation of 255 million people running is a formidable force on this planet. Well, unfortunately, we now have human bodies with very tiny brains. You know, minds that are not exposed, minds that are based on only one book, minds that are living by rote, minds that are not thinking, not capable of critical reasoning.
What does this mean for nations that are part of NATO that believe there's protection coming?
They should have looked at Ukraine. That was it.
Ukraine is a typical example.
Ukraine is a typical example of what will happen when you're considering an alliance, when you're not considering your neighbor. your next door neighbor. That is what it is. So it is a global system.
What's the role of the other countries, especially the European countries, in all of this, especially when we talk about Ukraine,
Denmark.
as an example now? The US obviously supplies the Ukraine with weapons.
Yes.
And not
to
actual
defend
protection.
themselves.
And not actual protections.
No. We'll not say that. You know, what is obvious is what you see. Most of the wars are always underground. That is it. The tip of the iceberg is what you will always see. And when it comes to military strategies, what has to be known, that is known. What is safe to be exposed is what is exposed. The real war is underground. And that is why it's very important for all of us to know that our actions today will determine what becomes of our future generations.
Now, let me take this very quickly. Western countries like US, UK, EU, Denmark are now more cautious about who can invest in Greenland, especially in mining, infrastructure, and ports. This is mainly to limit Chinese-Russian influence, not because Greenland itself is being sanctioned, right? Greenland has been left out of this. But it is the Cold War between the US, Russia, China that is giving Greenland this kind of attention at this time.
The whole world is playing. Look, it's been, even Nigeria is not just conscious. I'd love to talk about outside Nigeria. I love to talk of inside, because when you see the example of what is happening to you, you should be cautious. Now, it's only Nigeria. Look at Ajaokuta steel industry. You know what happened to that place where it was never functional? Because we did not watch who was coming to help, bring some technical knowledge to that place. So you have chaos. And that is why it's still dysfunctional to today. So every normal person, including your own local government, watch who is investing in your community. That's what it's all about. All you need is enough population within that are speaking for the external oppressor, somebody that stands to gain, then the door is opened. It's human beings that will sit down in committees and make decisions. It's human beings that will open the door. So yes, when you have an influx of people into your local government area, those are potential leaders in your community, and they will open the door for where their alliance lie. So yes, they have a reason to consider it, but you have to also consider that the ruling class in America are really Europeans. Yes, that is also an important factor to consider. USA was a colony of Britain. Many people that migrated from the European countries to America decimated the original population of that place. So yes, they are really Europeans. So it's a European game. And I will not be surprised if you start hearing things like, we migrated from this, we have a right to this place. So it's all about survival. Survival of the fittest. Survival of the most strategic. Survival of the one that is willing to take the greater risk.
Comrade Katie, between 1881 and 1914, European powers rushed to colonize Africa after the Berlin Conference in 1884 to 85. Now, countries like Britain, France, Germany, Belgium, Portugal, Italy, Spain carved up Africa into colonies, mostly without regard for local people or boundaries. Now, are we seeing recolonization? Is it about to happen across the world?
They will not like to use that word, okay? They will not love to state it that way, and that is why it's always caveat emptor. It is you. Look, it pays, even the use of the language English, okay? It's a form of colonization, where you can't even speak to your African brother in any language. We had a trans-Saharan African business trades going on, and we could relate with one another. And you think of the Arabs, there's a lot going on. And that is why people should begin to teach history again. So it's not, I always say that if the whole world collapsed and only one tribe is everywhere, it won't change anything. Human beings will still persist. But the truth is always somebody is gaining while you're lying fallow. So yes, we can see a different thing coming up, and it will be important because people, instead of we are colonizing you like you had no power, it is now we're going to be supporting you to protect you from your neighbors. And the truth is, are your neighbors really your enemies? People just want to survive and live. It's when you tell them you need more, you need more. Do you know the way people go about these phones now? You really wonder if they had ever lived without a phone in their past. The way people really extend themselves, there's so much information, very little to truly empower you. History empowers. And, you know, the world is changing. I'm glad it's changing while I'm watching, so I'm glad to be alive at this
So
point
what does
in
all of this
history.
say about real politics, power, strategy, and then what people call international law at this time?
International law were laws that were put in place by people who sat at a point in time to decide what was valuable. Like you said, they partaged, they shared Africa. We were not on the table. And now we have 54 countries that can't even make up their mind to work together as one. We have a situation where for you to get into Europe, you sweat. For Europeans to get to your country, you clap for them. Okay? For you to operate a business in Nigeria, it's more difficult for you as a Nigerian than for any foreign person to come in and even bring the worst of all equipments that will create a level of pollution in your country to get it to your country. The only thing is self-love. When you begin to love yourself and love your neighbor, you don't need an outsider to protect you against your neighbor. Imagine this. We don't manufacture lots of arms in the West Africa. I don't want to talk about South Africa now, okay? I want to exclude South Africa because of its Boers inheritance. But ammunitions are everywhere. And you're using those ammunitions to kill your brothers. I just came back from Kano. Kano is beautiful. And I'm thinking, and I kept seeing the streets too. The Almagirs, I'm seeing a lot as I'm moving around. Look, God, a beautiful world, a beautiful Nigeria. Now we're afraid of everybody. Nobody can travel anywhere by road again. You have to fly. It's so terrible that we're now afraid of ourselves. So Africa, you know, really, I'm really interested in global whatever. I'm really interested in Africa because Africa is considered taken. All the resources are moving in only one direction. Okay, as a child, I complained about the form of education I had because it was very simple. One day I went to a friend's house and I saw a cocoa tree. I was like, what? Everybody can have this in their backyard. I said, the first thing they taught me about cocoa as a child was the diseases of cocoa. And those words were very frightening. You know, they were very, very frightening because they were doubled to a child. So everything I could think about cocoa at a time is either it's a cash crop meant to go out or it was there with diseases. Nobody told us it was chocolate in your backyard. That's what I'm saying about the form of education. Chocolate in your very backyard. Don't you think every child wants that tree behind them? But no, cocoa must travel. It must travel and be polluted and brought back to us to rot your teeth. Not knowing that if you took your cocoa every day, you would never have hypertension. It will cleanse your blood vessels. That is what the story of Africa. So it's going to happen to some other countries if they don't consider a lot of things. This migration is the problem. It's even the migration that strengthened America. Okay, it's people thinking and rushing for the dollar. Okay, if I'm going to, you remember what I must say about the former president, the late go through dollar to get to China. So America knows the power is waning. So they have to look for more resources because there are people, more than 300 million people in that land.
Now, basically, at this time, should countries be worried about a resource rush in Greenland, judging by the current situation surrounding that particular territory?
No. I think, and I know God is not wicked. Yes, please. Every nation has its own form of resources, which you would negotiate in international trade for things you think are of value to you. So yes, it is time for everybody to look inward and build human capacity. Yes. You can sit back at home and work anywhere in the world. The world has become a global village. So strengthen the philosophy of your people. Let them be committed to your place and man your own minerals. It's so simple. If your people are already doing business with the minerals in the soil, why would somebody come from anywhere else to come and work on it? But we were bumped in Oyo State, and I'm yet to hear anything from the declaration that came up at around 11 p.m. that day from the governor of Oyo State saying that they were illegal miners. Have you heard of any prosecution since then? Maybe I'm not up to date, but I'm yet to hear anything. Do you see what is happening? It means if you're not manning your own business, look, the only thing we all have to do is mind our businesses. Mind your citizenry. Mind your nation. Be a Traore. Simple. Mind the land. You'll be shocked. Once you pay off the debts, there's little chance of them coming in. They'll be using trickery. Remember when Nigeria did not want LGBTQ? What did the states under President Jonathan do? They made a vote. And there were sneaky behaviors, but then you couldn't really come and obtain what was in place. So mind your people, protect your people, provide for your people, create systems that work within your land. Then
So,
nobody can come in from anywhere.
How might smaller nations navigate this pressure from larger powers?
The big deal about small is small, you're small. It's the
Is it
reality.
about the mindset or the size?
Size can be big like Qatar. You can be small and powerful.
Are you talking about Nigeria?
No, Nigeria is large and amorphous. Now, when you have a, well, I'll speak, like I said, it's chemistry now. Let's talk chemistry. What I want to say is that the strongest bond, relationship, alliance is between people that have to give and some are taken. There's an exchange, equal exchange, and you're strong. You form a lattice. But when you're amorphous, any small thing, you're just becoming water. You go to the next stage, okay? So it's like diamond and looking at the slate, you know, just like coal, you know, carbon, just, So it's about what is inside. So now for Nigeria is not a small nation. Nigeria is very big. 1/4 of all the blacks in the world are Nigerians. That's a very big nation. We're very big, you know, like 255 million counting. Nigeria is a nation to watch, but because we are not focusing on developing every human being in that nation. In this nation, we're still discussing health system, educational system. We're really like very agrarian, you know, very in developmental language. We're really the underdeveloped. And they called us developing, and we believed in it. In what direction are we developing? We should carry everybody along. You see, okay, if there's 1 million naira for a lot of people, and everybody had 100,000 each, or do you want a nation where there's 1 million and everybody get one kobo each? So that is what the problem is. So we need to build a nation. We have a nation to build. We cannot rest on an
Will this dispute mark a shift towards a more aggressive, transactional shift towards what you call territorial diplomacy?
That's a big one. I want to think that many nations are beginning to know there is nothing united inside the United Nations. Yes, who unite for United Nations, okay? People are beginning to know that it's important you help your citizens to grow because they are the ones that go to the negotiation table. The youth of that nation, and that's why Nigeria is a nation to watch, 70% youth. If those youth were properly educated, they understand biology, they understand history, they will not sell out. They will understand the negotiations that are taking place. So that is what we should read, aggressive, informal education of the populace so that they can defend the territory. Because whether we like it or not, human beings are trafficked every day. It means people are becoming slaves of other people every day. It's always who survives. Who survives in this economy? Who survives in the world to come? Who becomes the slave? Who works and gets nothing? Look at Africa paying billions to the world or as interest on loans that went into infrastructures that are broken down. So it's better to strengthen your own people, create factories where people can work, meet your daily needs, we have physiological needs. All this other one of territorial taking, diplomacy, they're in the level of self-actualization. So if you could survive, look, think about it. Not everybody's looking for natural resources, organic substances. You can really maintain your own in this world. And what we have as an indigenous understanding is what people are seeking. So let's develop it. Let's not look down on any Nigerian. Because believe it, those grammars now have the best of times.
Will this set a precedence for other territories around the world like Crimea, Northern Cyprus, and some other places?
Everybody's watching. Everybody's watching. And if you think of even Morocco, Morocco has a colony, you know? So a lot is happening. It is all about who we serve who. So
that's Western Sahara.
Yes, Western Sahara. So it's who we serve who. Do you get it? If you, look, gross domestic product is gross national product, is gross international product. The whole world is one unit. The only thing that have left the earth and suspended is the things that went into the space stations and those things. Look, we are all human beings and there is no planet B. Irrespective of, let us go to Mars, nobody's going to Mars. We are on this planet. And if this planet is getting damaged, there was a time people went, take out that you can. If it gets damaged, we'll go somewhere else. And they discovered it was impossible. We are all locked down here. So it's now who will live well while you're here. who will pay for the services of other people so that they have an advantage, an economic advantage. But if you understand, economics is meeting the needs of people. So if your needs are met in your community, what are you looking for?
Now, let's talk about United Nations as we speak. What role should United Nations play in all of this?
The question is, who funds United Nations? Who are the veto powers in United Nations? Look, some are positional powers. Some are funders. Who is the funder of United Nations?
So because the U.S. funds the United Nations, it means they do everything and get away with it. That's a very big one.
The fact is this, people like to moralize when it comes to certain issues, but there are no morals in this case, okay? The real truth is this: if I'm the one funding and my money matter, it means it's what I want you to do, but I can be nice about it, okay? You're nice when, okay, have you noticed anytime United Nations is about to meet, you see all these folders are already prepared? The theme is decided with the people, and then the next thing you see them signing. Did you ever see any robust conversation anytime? They bring those files to you and you're appending your signature. And that is why Nigeria, signed so many treaties without
even knowing what
they were signing. Because even to be invited, they make you feel you're special. So you go there. And that is why we need more human beings with sound minds.
So when you are invited to such sitting, they make it feel like it was a privilege.
It's a privilege. Yes, you're not paying, you're getting. You're getting those grants, and those grants destroyed minds of men, including university professors.
Can nations actually withdraw from taking grants from other nations to have a say in any of international issues?
Free money. What we don't understand is that free gifts always come with something that is heavier than a chain. So if you're already trained into thinking something is cheap is coming, what would you do? There's something France did recently that I really love. They decided we want certain number of French citizenry to join the military. And they've started. Just 3,000, and we're building up. So Nigeria can borrow from that. You need to build up the real accountants that understand accounting principle. You need to build up the attitude of people to the street. You need to care for every citizen so that they don't become a weak link. Look, a chain is as strong as its weakest link. So if the uneducated are very many in Nigeria, ill-educated people are very many in Nigeria, you'll be shocked how many people don't even understand what is happening anywhere. They never studied history in their lives. They never read up anything on history. They are more interested in kicking balls up and down than understanding the philosophy that underpins what they are saying. Look, think of the students of philosophy in Nigeria. How do they feel? How do they feel? If you think of students of psychology, how do they feel in the nation? So what problems are they solving? That is what tells you. People should understand that the backbone of governance is history, philosophy, psychology. How the human mind works. Tactics. The military is very important and superior. They get the best of education. So we need to understand that and know where to put our energy.
Right about now, the U.S. has a military base in Greenland.
Yes.
Right? Trump has put transatlantic alliance to test with threats to take over Greenland one way or the other, as European countries close ranks against Washington's designs on the vast Danish autonomous nation. So when they say one way or the other, could that mean force?
No. One way, there are many ways to get anything done, like 5 schools of thought.
Can it be diplomatic?
Or when it's diplomatic and you're the weaker person, what do you think it's all about? That is it. You negotiate based on power. I said knowledge. That was why I said education leads to knowledge, is the key to knowledge, and knowledge leads to power. There are 5 kinds of powers. So when you are weak or constrained by size, constrained by geography, you negotiate from that your position. Everybody wants access to the Arctic. So here you are, and you're just this, you lack military power. And you can be taken out. When we talk about warfare at times, people don't understand that ideological warfare is the worst warfare. There are economic warfares, there are many things. And the Greenwich really like America. You know that? They do. It's not because, no, don't go for them. We are also negotiating. What is everybody looking for? Your resources, not your people, the natural resources. So they'll take it over one way or the other.
All right, what should other nations, what should they take away from all of this in terms of sovereignty, diplomacy, and strategic negotiations going forward?
Train your people. Let them know there's a cold war going on, a silent war going on, and they could be pawns on the game, or they could be the queen of the manor. That's what it is. Play chess. Understand it. Life is about people that know and people that don't know. So you must make sure you train your God-given mind to know. At least don't die in ignorance. Because when you come to the table, it is human beings that negotiate. What is called strategy is human beings that make those strategic moves. It is human beings deciding these things. So if your people are strong and they have a powerful voice, is this voice that controls the world. So yes, train your people, love your people, protect your people, and of course, be strong in your mind. It's the mind always.
Thank you, Comrade Katie, for joining us on the show this morning.
Thank you for having me.
It has been a good session with you. Now, as we have explored today, the Greenland dispute is about far more than ice and isolation. It reflects a world where geography, economics, and diplomacy are increasingly intertwined, and where even the most remote regions can become flashpoints for global influence. From bold political statements to firm diplomatic responses, the conversation around Greenland reminds us that the struggle for power in the 21st century is being shaped not only in capitals and conference halls, but also in the farthest corners of the planet. Thank you for joining us on The Big Story. Samson Balogun is my name. And up next is Trend Watch. Keep questioning the headlines, because behind every story, there's always a bigger one. Thank you.
Need a professional space to bring your vision to life? Dominion Television Studios offers state-of-the-art facilities perfect for your next broadcast, commercial, corporate video, or live event. With flexible rental options, cutting-edge equipment, and a supportive team, we provide the perfect environment for high-quality productions. Unleash your creativity. For bookings, email us at marketing@dominion.org.ng. Call us on 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Check us out on Instagram and X at DominionCast. Book your space today. Dominion Television, your channel of choice.
All right, welcome back from that short break. The show is still Daybreak Live right here on Dominion Television, your channel of choice, where inspiration meets entertainment. Do well to link up with us on all socials, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and at Dominion Broadcast. And on X, formerly Twitter, at Dominion Cast. You can watch us live on our website at www.dominion.org.ng. And also link up with us on YouTube at Dominion Broadcast. Watch us live too on Facebook. Drop your comments and we'll take them on the show. It is time for Trend Watch, and Anudu Apoido is back in the studio.
Yeah, it's good to be here after that wonderful conversation you guys had. You know, something very important.
Insightful.
Yeah. So let's take it back now to Nigeria. So the case of Malami is still making the rounds, and it's something we are spotlighting again. DSS detaining Malami on alleged terrorism financing. I mean, if it was something else, maybe some would say an attorney general, a one-time attorney general of the Federation, should not be caught in such acts. But then also it's bordering on the count that is about 8 billion naira worth of money that is also said to have misappropriated, you know, and it begs a lot of questions. And it wasn't just him, you know, his family members were also complicit to this crime, allegedly, you know. And all of this, we are seeing at the time that it should not even be. And I was trying to think about 8 billion naira. That is a very large portion of a lot of northern states' budgets every year. So if you have to consider one person is taking a large part, a chunk of the budget of the entire state. In fact, that was not the only issue that they said. They said they found ammunition in this place in Birnin Kebbi. You know, they found some, you know, some things that suggest this person is also dealing in terrorism in a sense, you know. So there's been that claim, and the DSS is coming out to say, yes, this particular investigation is comprehensive. We are getting enough information on Malami, and that was him right there, as you can see on the on your screen. You know, asking questions. Was asking for who is your leader. You know, sometimes it begs the question when we have this kind of arrest. I know it's also good for your safety to ask questions, but even before this time, I'm thinking they should have done the right things. My name is this. I'm coming from DSS. This is my ID card. Instead of just saying, please walk with us, and then he gets to the car, says, wait, hold on. Who are you? Who is the head here? Let me see your ID card and all of that. It's just basics. Understand, okay, we want to get you. Let there even be, if there's a warrant from the court as well to say, this is the court's order that calls for us to restrain you or to take you into custody, and that should be a process that should be followed, but not to take anything away from what he has done. According to them, we hope this particular situation or this investigation will get through to the root of this issue.
Well, I think it's actually it's really sad that you know, someone will have to come to you and say, oh, I'm arresting you, and you don't even know where that person is coming from. I mean, it might be shocking to Malami himself, who knows, you know, what's going on in the nation, and especially what is going through at this time. But it's becoming a pattern, actually. It is not just Malami who has been arrested shortly after being released. It has happened to, I think that was Omoyele Shore, Deji Adeyanju at some point, even Yaya Bello immediately was released, rearrested again. Even in Nnamdi Kanu, you know, we have seen it happen over and over again. And it's becoming a pattern, it's becoming a trend. So what happens after all this drama? And we have also seen situations where someone is charged, you know, several counts, about 10 of them, and eventually court throws, you know, about 9 of that out of court and say, look, we are only, you know, focusing on one which is substantial, which we have hardcore evidences for. So I don't think we should make claims, or the law enforcement agencies should make claims about things that they are not even sure of. Before you arrest a person, be sure that we are arresting this person on, because the Constitution expressly states it clear that once a person has been arrested on a particular issue, for example, a particular crime, and is being tried over it, but you do not have enough evidences, you cannot retry that person based on that same offense anymore. It works free. So you have to be clear. Do you have hardcore evidences that he is into terrorism financing, or you still need to do more digging? If that is the case, let him work. Then do your digging. I mean, Malami was a former AGF. I mean, he cannot run away anyway. So it's more or less like you trying to do things. I mean, if the court says he should go and he has perfected his bail, do the needful. Do your due diligence before you actually rearrest him. But we do hope that now that he's been arrested again, there's hardcore evidence that can actually, you know, indict him and say, look, you have actually done this. These are evidences. Well, until that is done, I still think it is continuous investigation. There are ways to go about it anyways. Sometimes when you have been arrested and they want you to, you know, escape, maybe, or
Risk.
maybe
Yeah,
you,
they tag you flat risk.
you find yourself in a situation where you cannot actually leave the country and you are under house arrest. So these things do happen. And I do hope that the government can actually, you know, get something done about this. But we don't want to see dramas, the same old pattern. You've been arrested, you've been bailed, and then somebody arrests you on a different count. And by the end of the day, you are going to court with about 25 different counts. And then after that, the court says, oh, you cannot try this person for more than 2 because we don't have evidences on the others. So that should be what we should be saying. Let's see 1 or 2 comments before we go.
Yes. Tony Aja says, interesting times ahead. Nogide Nachuku says, Malami is a member of IPOP under the leadership of MNK. And Emmanuel says, the same thing he did to Sowore and Kanu.
And let's take this. I think one more person says, Uge Goldstein says he needs to be remanded back to prison. Well, this will be left to the courts to decide. And this is really a convenient point to leave it on this show this morning. We say thank you for linking up with us, for joining us on the show, and for dropping your comments on all channels.